Hi, I'm Gerd Leonhard, Futurist and Humanist in Zurich, Switzerland, today with a short presentation for TEDx in Modena. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. I love Italy and I love coming to Modena, but unfortunately this year I have to go through this pipeline to speak to you. But nevertheless, I will speak to you about the future, about 2030. The future is our choice. The future is not falling down on us. It's not just happening to us. We make the future. And today, with this crisis that we have currently, we have to really think about what kind of future do we want. We're looking at a crisis of certainty, total and utter certainty, and especially in Italy, given, of course, the stakes in tourism, manufacturing, and car industry, and so on. This is something that we have to get used to. Utter uncertainty, utter VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, ambiguity. That's our future. And we have to deal with that, and we have to actually help each other deal with this. This is not going to be easy as the world is moving constantly around us. And I think that is our foreseeable future for the next 10 years, like constantly changing and being uncertain. This crisis, the COVID crisis, will probably last until at least the end of next year, maybe 22, is what most people say, an L-shaped recession. So we better get used to this great transformation and also the waves of change that are coming. It's not just COVID-19. And the pandemic. It's climate change, and this is both a crisis as well as an opportunity. I think Italy, for example, and sustainable tourism and renewable energy, that's a topic for the future, clearly. That's also going to impact our economic logic. What do we want from the future system, the future sustainable capitalism? Do we want a system where people are more equal? Right? That is sort of a social capitalism. What do we want? What kind of economic logic would work for us? Clearly, the past has sometimes worked, but in many cases it has not. And we need to adjust to this and make changes going forward. I mean, we're clearly moving into a world that is already being driven by changes. Look at this slide here from McKinsey and Company, great report recently about the post-COVID world. All the changes that we have already made, I mean, mind-boggling. Work, shopping, learning, we're doing all remotely, right? Remote everything, tele everything. And I know, especially for Italy, that's a pretty tough mission, because what happens to us, to our human connections? And this is something that has to come back. And we have to find a way to live in a hybrid world, working from home, but not eating from home, eating or drinking remotely. I mean, changes are happening at mind-boggling pace. In this upside-down world, it's quite clear, we're not going to go back to normal. Sorry. There will be new normals. And we have to get used to this, and we have to make the best out of it, and we have to collaborate, and we have to help each other discover how we can pivot into new situations in this new normal. We're moving into a world where what used to be on top is moving to the bottom, and vice versa. The priorities have changed. What are their priorities now? Not the cruise ships, those are gone, right? Not flying somewhere for the weekend, not doing all of those things that we used to do, but thinking about differently. Healthcare, taking care of your health, taking care of your kids, remote work and technology, right? Technology. Technologia is everywhere. And this is going to cause a lot of changes in our society. We have to make sure we don't get carried away with, and right now I think it's really quite clear, our priorities are survival, especially in Italy. To work together to find a way forward and to collaborate, to come up with new ideas and to pivot with new thoughts, especially, for example, in fashion and tourism, to pivot and to adapt and then find new ways of doing things and to transform in our businesses, and finally to prosper. And then prosper in a wider way, of course, than before. Not just GDP and job growth, but also prosper in the sense of people, planet, prosperity, purpose. In a wider sense, I think that's going to be an important part of our future. Clearly, we are going warp drive into this future now. And COVID-19 has been an accelerator. Everything that was there before, like working from home or using technology or online entertainment, has gotten a huge boost. And it's a vast, like, warp drive into the future, and there's two really things that are standing out, right? Big tech, well, there's four things really, but two I'm going to focus on today. Big tech, big healthcare, we're going to see a shift of trillions of euros into healthcare, into bioengineering, into genomics, into personalized medicine, customized food, and so on and so on. Very big topic. We're going to see big state, and this can be very scary because, in my view, the state shouldn't always be big. And it's a question of how we trust the state, right? So that we can actually feel like it's taken care of us. Yeah, big topic in Italy, I know. And finally, I think this is 100 million new jobs in what I call big green. Right? And this is coming, it must come, and it also makes sense because the science is there now. Right? Clearly, we're going to see a future where this is the new normal. And the circular economy, not giving back and not just recycling, but think of it as a whole circle, that is going to be the only economy in 2030. Buckminster Fuller, Bucky, said years ago, 1983, that technologically we have all the tools to support our planet in a manner that's substantially better than before and more advanced. And that is so true, and it's still even more true. There's light at the end of the tunnel, but of course the key question is when we have technology exploding like it is now, where we're saying 2050 we may have machines that are somewhat as intelligent as humans in the sense of cognitive intelligence, not emotional, I hope, or artistic, but machines that are extremely powerful. Let's leave it at that. Yeah? It's going to be important that we think about how we control them. Right? And whether we want a world where that is going to make us feel like we're in heaven, or nirvana, where we don't have to work that much anymore, maybe. Or it's going to be a world that's more like hell, where everything is controlled by machines. Yeah? And Bucky was right about this. We will have all the tools, but here's the question I have for you in Italy right now. Do we have the will to design a future that works for everybody, a collective future? And do we have the wisdom? Do we have the politicians? So wisdom and politicians, of course, is kind of an oxymoron. Just kidding. There are some, but we're going to have to trust the politicians. Look at New Zealand. Jacinda Ardern is a great example of somebody that can think about things at the same time and also feel things at the same time. We will have all the tech we need, but will we have the will? And this is a key question we must ask our politicians. Every politician, in my view, should have a driver's license for the future, should be able to drive through all those changes and show us where it's going and have thought leadership. When we think about the future and all the things that we have, enter Elon Musk, of course. I mean, he's always there, right? And clearly, he has invented a new thing called the Neuralink, right? That essentially allows, right now, animals, to connect their brain to the internet. And he wants to do that for humans, right? I mean, you got to take a look at this. It's pretty far out there, and then we have to think about, well, what exactly would this do for us? Would it make lots of money for Elon? And is it even possible? I think right now it's mostly science fiction. And then we have other things that are in a parallel universe, like this is Facebook and Oculus Rift, called the Infinite Office. I think it was just launched last week, where Facebook can give you a VR handle that allows you to work in a virtual environment. I mean, think about that. If we had that, it could be, again, heaven, or it could be hell. Now, we're going to have to think about what that means for our society, and whether our brain is made up for this, and whether that's going to be a good thing or not, and if it should be regulated. I mean, I think it could be probably as addictive as any drug, to live in a world of human superpowers. Right? So this is something we have to think about, because clearly we're moving into a world like this where humans are connected with technology. Always. 10G networks, 8 million people and billion people on the internet, 6 weeks of your mobile device, 2,000 kilometers on an electric car in average range. I mean, yeah, what is the question? How do we put the human back inside here? How do we put the human on top? How do we allow the human to be at the center of all these efforts? Right? And also, how do we then give back to the planet? So the human inside question is a very big question, I think, that we have to think about, because here's a situation. Technology can be a gift, it can do amazing things for us, right? But it can also be a bomb. Tim Cook, Apple CEO, once said, technology can do great things, but it does not want to do great things. It doesn't want to do anything. If we want to do great things with technology, and we're going to do a lot of those, then we have to bring the ethics and the values and what we want into it. The question is what we want, not what we can have. Because, in 20 years, technology allows us to have everything, anything. And I think when we think about technology, it's really quite clear already with mobile devices and gaming and so on. Too much of a good thing can be a very bad thing because humans are not machines. We are not exponential. Nature is cyclical, right? It goes up and down. Technology is, of course, explosive, making huge gains every 18 months, doubling in capacity and halving in price. But we're not. We're just humans. We're linear. And let's keep this in mind. We are not on a project territory. We're going to be 120, maybe 150 years old in 20, 30 years. But not unlimited, and definitely not an unlimited capacity of the things that we can do. We need to think about our position in technology. I'm using here the Vitruvian man, and I call this now the Neo-Luvian man because he is surrounded, and she is surrounded, by all the things of technology, Internet of Things and 3D printing and artificial intelligence and voice language, natural language processing and so on. Many, many, many things, right, that are coming down on us. We have to find a way of positioning ourselves correctly so we don't get lost and we don't get dehumanized. Right? A new human renaissance is coming. And this is very important, especially in Italy, when we think about the Renaissance. Technology is not a purpose of our lives. It's not something that we believe in. Technology is not a religion. Well, it's a religion to some people, but it should be a tool, a hammer, a fancy hammer. Right? Let's not forget this when we think about the future, because this is the key question when we think about the future. Right? You've probably seen the video of San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, clogged by fog from the smoke of all the fires. Right? The question is not what will the future bring, but the real question is, what kind of future do we want? Right? What is the future that we want to design, that we want to have? Because if you're looking at our reality, it's really right now in this crisis, the unthinkable has become the new normal. All the things that we're not allowed to do, that we must be doing, Northern Europe giving funds to Southern Europe, and all of the plans of the stimulus packages and so on, that's unusual. Let's not go away from this and say, well, it's going to go on as it was. It's not. Right? It is now basically no longer unthinkable to do things like the carbon tax for flying, for driving a car, for eating meat. Right? Forget about unthinkable. Rethink again. Question your assumptions. Right? Think about a new form of capitalism. I call this sustainable capitalism, riffing off Al Gore, of course. Right? 4 things that we want to achieve with what we're doing: people, planet, purpose, and prosperity. 4 objectives. And every CEO should be judged by his performance on the 4 points and not receive dividends on just 1 point. And we're going to see new stock markets. Maybe this is something for Italy. We already have one called the Long-Term Stock Exchange in San Francisco that does exactly this. So it's really good to see. We're moving into a future where there are 6 future principles, not just 3. The first 3 ones are technology, exponential, convergent, the power of technology. And the other 3 are the ones right next to it, where it's about being human, having holistic business models, giving back, creating a sustainable common economy, making sure humans are in the center of our efforts, and that humans have benefits, not just financial benefit, but a wider sense of benefit. The 6 future principles. Print this out and put it above your company headquarters entry. This is the future of commerce. And when we think about Europe, clearly this is going to be our future, right? A collective approach, a social capitalism, if you wish, as to how we can make these things work. And we can only work with one thing, really, and this is happening right now. I know this is a scary thought, especially for Italy, right? The United States of Europe are coming. Give it 10 years, we're going to be much closer to the United States of Europe than ever before. And this is our key to the future, to achieve exactly this, right? Those 3 things, right, as a battle plan, as a business plan for Europe. Right? The business plan can't just be to do one thing. It has to be 3 things: holistic, circular, human, and of course technology as well. And there's our future quite clear when we think about technology and machines. It's obvious. Right? We are going to see machines that can think, parentheses, in zeros and ones, but that's not enough. We're still going to have to be human, put our things on top that we are, right? Purpose, curiosity, foresight, critical thinking. I mean, we are clearly moving into a world where it's about sentience, existence, right? The good old Renaissance term, and sapiens, wisdom. Right? Humans on top of machines. And this is what we have to teach our kids. We have to teach our kids to be good at purpose, at curiosity, at passion, not just be good at science and technology, but at things that only humans can do. I like to say that culture eats technology for breakfast. This bodes well for Italy. But we do have to get really, really good with technology to achieve the point, as Martin Seligman says, of those 5 points are positivity, engagement, relationships, meaning, he calls it PERMA, right? The definition of happiness. But let's not be mistaken about this. If we don't know how to use technology efficiency and we don't use that as a tool, it's going to be hard. Right? We have to bundle those two things, and technology and humanity on top. So let's say, going back to my original title, the future is better than we think. We just need to design it wisely and collaborate and plot our future together. Thanks very much for tuning in, and I look forward to taking this further.